What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's Down and Dirty. We're going to use the diecast model some more because people really seem to be enjoying this, and I really enjoy it too because it gives me the ability to kind of show you guys some things that aren't happening in real time on the job site. It would take too long to cover in real time on a job site, but we can kind of talk about the concepts here and then you can apply them forward. So that being said, today we're going to talk about how do you push out a stuck on-road truck? This is a situation that we as operators find ourselves in all the time. You just got that driver that just struggles. He really struggles to stay on the hard stuff. He gets himself stuck and here you are in a pickle again. You got to get him out, but don't damage my truck. Don't damage my truck. Well, had you not gotten yourself stuck, we wouldn't have to worry about damaging the truck, right? So there's a couple different ways we can go about this because it depends on the box style, first of all. That's going to be part of it because a lot of trucks have steel boxes, but there's a lot of trucks that have aluminum boxes, and you need to know the difference because you can get a little more aggressive with a steel box, such as this. We can tell because it's painted. It's also going to be a lot harder just to the touch versus an aluminum box, which is it's going to be raw aluminum. It's not going to be painted. That's the biggest indicator. You have to be gentle with aluminum. Aluminum bends a lot easier. You can't get really aggressive. So if we were with a steel box truck, one of the things that we could do, especially if he's got a little material still in the box, we could take, if we had an excavator on site, we could take our boom and we could put it down here in the box and give him just a little weight. And you really want to focus the weight over the drive axles back here because that's where he needs the traction, right? Or the drive axles. So if we add a little extra weight and we push down on those drive axles, that's going to let him sink into that mud and really get some traction. But at the same time, we can push him forward with our boom arm. So we're not only giving him extra traction, we're also giving him a little push forward. That's my preferred method. If I have all of these options available to me at the job site, that's my preferred method to get a truck unstuck, just because you're in the box. There's a little less risk of something going wrong and damaging the truck. And the box is made to take abuse, right? The inside of the box is where we dump all of our material. It's getting rocks. It's getting hammered by stuff. You know, we can get a little aggressive on the inside of the box and it's okay. Now, let's say we don't have an excavator and we're stuck with a dozer. And let's take it a step further. Let's say this is an aluminum box. Now what are we going to do? So if you can imagine this truck, and I'm going to try to be gentle with my little die cast here because this little cylinder doesn't like to do its thing. So let's say he just dumped off. We got a big old fat pile of material sitting at the back and he goes, well, I'm stuck. You need to push me out. You have a couple options here. If you've got a big enough dozer, one of the things that I will do is I will push the pile. Because if you think about it, our worry is really getting our hard blade up against this box and hitting the aluminum or the wheels in a way that we're going to break something. Well, if the dirt's acting as a cushion for us, by default, that dirt's going to kind of form itself around all of this stuff on the back of the truck. And it's going to give us just an even pushing force going forward. So what I will do is I will actually use the pile itself. Again, you have to have a big enough dozer that you can push through that pile. If your dozer's too small, you're going to have to clear the pile away from the truck first. But what you can do is you can actually come and push up against this pile, and then it will start to apply force to the truck. And a lot of times that's just enough that it'll kind of get him out of his ruts. Because a lot of times what happens is these drive wheels, as this box goes up, these drive wheels start to kind of create divots for themselves. They start to sink down because all of this weight of the material in the box is shifting to the back. And so he just kind of gets stuck in this divot and he can't get himself out. And so if you just give him that little love nudge through the pile, well, now all of a sudden he can get out and it gives him enough that he can get past those little divots and he's okay. But what happens if we don't have a dozer that's big enough? Well, we've got some more options. On this particular truck, let's see if we can get it to focus. There we are. On this particular truck, if we look at the back of it, we don't have any sort of a hitch. And that's unfortunate because if this truck had a hitch, a lot of times you'll hear them called a fish mouth. If you have a tag trailer, it literally looks like a big fish mouth. And that is where the trailer receiver will fit in. And then you put a pin through it and he can drag a trailer. Those fish mouths, you can absolutely push on them. They're built to take some force. You have to be gentle with it. But if you've got a hitch of any sort, a pintle hitch is another great one that you can actually put some pressure against, and you can use that to push the truck out. In a situation like this, we don't have that option. So now what do? My dozer's too small. In fact, let's take it a step further. I've got a skid steer. And this actually happened to me yesterday. I had to push out a semi. It wasn't even a regular dump truck. It was a semi that was stuck. And I only had a skid steer. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start coming at the pile either this way or this way. And we're going to shove that pile out of my way, right? I need to clear the back end of this truck off because my skid steer cannot push the weight of the pile plus the weight of the truck. So we need to get the dirt out of there. So I'm going to push this way and I'm going to get all that dirt kind of sitting alongside the truck here, closer to the camera, if you will. And so now we're going to have a little bit of spoils right here, but for the most part, we've got it all flat here at the back. Now what I'm going to do first and foremost, I'm going to drop the bucket on my skid steer. That bucket only has sharp corners, right? Because it's got a cutting edge. It's made for cutting into things. Well, this is, again, pretend this is aluminum box. We don't want to cut into an aluminum box. We want to apply a nice, even pressure to the entire area that we're pushing on this truck. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drop our bucket so we just have the flat skid steer coupler. And we're going to pull right up behind this truck and we're going to raise our arms up until we're, and this is another complexity that we're always dealing with. It's never easy, right? This has one of those little doors that you can open to shoot material out. You have to be careful we don't damage that. But we do want to be as low on this tailgate as possible. Either that or we want to be right up here at the hinge point. Because those are the 2 points where this tailgate makes contact with the truck to where we're applying pressure to the frame of the truck. We don't want to apply pressure just into the middle of the tailgate, right? Imagine this piece of paper as our tailgate. In the grand scheme of things, that tailgate is kind of thin. And so if we take a really hard point of pressure and start pushing it, well, just like my paper's doing right now, that tailgate is going to start to fold and buckle in. And your driver's going to be real hot if you folded his tailgate in. We don't want to do that. And that's why we want to get nice even pressure. We drop our bucket, we've got that nice big flat face of your skid steer coupler. And now we're going to find a spot on this truck. It's probably going to be a little higher on the tailgate here where that hinge is, because again, now we're applying force to the frame of the truck, not just to the tailgate. So we're going to hit him right up here and we're just going to track forward nice and easy as the truck is trying to pull forward. And 9 times out of 10, that's going to get you out of your spot. If he didn't have this little door down here, and I apologize, the lighting, I should probably angle that towards the light, shouldn't I? So you guys can see the door. Apparently my dog needs some attention too. So Reese is going to help us out on this video. So if we didn't have that door, I would get nice and low. But again, you have to worry because a lot of trucks at the bottom, there's a little lip that comes off to kind of divert the material over all of your air connections and everything here. Don't screw that up. Always take your time. Always look at the truck. Always be aware of things that you might potentially break or bend before you just go start plowing into that thing and pushing it. If all else fails and you can't push, don't forget there's always the pull option. And this is where I'm going to tell you, don't go with some shady, we don't know if it's going to hold chain, or shady, we don't know if it's going to hold choker. This is where a lot of people in the industry get themselves into trouble is if you're going to pull a truck out or if you're going to pull anything, you need to have something that you know what it's rated for. You know that the machine's not going to be able to overpower that and break it because you can kill yourself with a chain cutting free and slamming you in the back of the head. It happens all the time. That's not a rare occurrence in our business. So don't forget, with the right tools, you can also hook onto the front of this truck and pull it out. But it is easier to push. It doesn't require the connection. It doesn't require finding a strap or a chain. It's just a lot easier to push. But that is how I approach pushing out a truck. It's all about applying force even. You don't ever want to use corners. Let me just kind of summarize there. You don't ever want to use corners. So let's say, let's say we've got our little D5 here, and I'm going to come up behind this truck. I'm never going to angle my blade off to where I'm going to encounter just this edge unless I have a pintle hitch or something that I know I'm safe to apply a lot of pressure to a very specific point. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up behind this truck and I'm going to try to hit him just, And you may have to build yourself a little ramp of dirt too if you're running a dozer like this to get yourself up there. But you want to apply that pressure nice and even across the back of that truck, across the back of the tailgate. You do not want to hit just one side because that's where things bend. You're applying way too much pressure to just one side. So it doesn't matter what machine you use, apply nice even pressure and take it easy. If you're spinning tracks trying to get a truck unstuck, you need to change your approach. Sitting there spinning the tracks and bouncing all over and rubbing all over the back of the truck is not going to get you there. And don't ever, and I mean ever, ram into a truck to try to shove him out of a divot. Unless you have explicit permission by a foreman or a superintendent or the driver himself, you should never be slamming into a truck to try to push him out of that hole. That is how you break things, and that is how your company is now responsible for purchasing a, $15,000 tailgate for that dump truck that you just screwed up. Or better yet, your job site is down for the rest of the afternoon because your truck no longer holds material. It leaks all over the road, and so now you got to take it back and you got to repair your tailgate. So I hope that helps the next time you get in a situation where you got to push a truck out. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next Down and Dirty.